Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Thursday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I'm your host, Brady Vini. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back after an off day yesterday, and tonight we are back talking about mainly more Pittsburgh Steelers football. And this is honestly going to be a fairly quick live stream tonight, and you guys can help steer the ship if you want. Going to hear in a moment get into the past 2 days of Steelers practices, news and notes, as well as some injury updates coming out of the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex on the south side of Pittsburgh. Some positive news on Aaron Rodgers, Alex Highsmith, those guys, what some Steelers coordinators and players have had to say over the past couple of days, and a forecast of what we could be looking at heading into Chicago here on Sunday afternoon. After that, we will get into a tiny bit of wide receiver news. I know it's pretty odd now that we're past the trade deadline and the Steelers wide receiver room, it's pretty much set at this point. You got DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson. Those are your top three guys, and then a bunch of filler, plus Marquez Valdez-Scantling on the practice squad after that. But a recent cut from a team down south there in Louisiana, could he be a help to the Steelers at all? We will discuss that. After that, just some extra Pittsburgh sports news, some loose end Steelers notes and pieces of information. The Jamar Chase suspension, the appeal of that. We do know the verdict of his appeal. We'll talk about that a tiny bit. We'll talk a little bit more about the Pittsburgh Pirates. We, coming off of Tuesday's big news that the Pirates are supposedly going to be bigger spenders in free agency this year. Another MLB insider chiming in on what he is hearing on the Pirates offseason plans. We'll talk about that. And of course, we'll end it talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins a little bit. Not too much news besides some practices and injury updates, kind of like the Steelers for them. They finally getting back in action tomorrow night. I believe that's against the Minnesota Wild. So they were off all week after coming home from their 2-game series against the Predators in Sweden. Tomorrow night, Penguins hockey finally back. Before we get things going here tonight, do want to, of course, start off by saying if you are new here, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Steel City Sports Report. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Again, also like this live stream, share this live stream so we can keep growing these live streams with more viewers. And in the comments section, leave any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have there. I can pop those up on the screen at a moment's notice, just like this. I enjoy interacting with you fine folks that way. Also, would appreciate it if you go check out the Steel City Sports Report at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and tune back in a little bit later tonight for SCSR 60. Let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's breeze through this nice little live stream here tonight. Going to start, of course, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the hot topic here on the channel. And new injury updates that we have gotten from them on the practice field over the past couple of days. Let's start with yesterday. As expected, after Mike Tomlin's Tuesday press conference, no Aaron Rodgers yesterday for the Steelers at practice. He was really nowhere to be seen with his wrist injury. Said that they were going to hold him out to start the week, put his left wrist, non-throwing wrist, in a brace to, keep it pretty immobile as it heals on its own. So Rodgers out yesterday, did talk about his injury, though, said that it's more about seeking a comfortability for him than it is rehabbing the injury. It's something that he feels he is going to be able to play with despite not practicing yesterday. Said it's all about taking snaps and shotgun. Those are, pretty comfortable, but also under center snaps is something he's really going to push to make sure he is good to go at. Also said that, when it comes to rehab, what the Steelers are looking for in him is that can he protect himself? That is going to be the biggest hurdle to clear for him in being able to play on Sunday. Can he go out there? Can he be able to take a hit and keep on ticking even with that non-throwing hand? It's just force of nature when he goes down to the ground on a sack, he's going to try to protect himself with that wrist, making sure that he's able to protect himself the right way and really not all that much risk injury. If he goes down, that will be big for him. Some other notes from yesterday's practice for the Steelers. Rodgers, of course, did not practice. The other two DNPs, Jaylen Warren, he also hurt against the Bengals over the weekend with an ankle injury. He did not practice yesterday, and as did Alex Highsmith with his pectoral injury. Isaac Seumalo was a limited participant with a pec, and then some guys who were either full go or didn't practice but are healthy, resting veterans. Darius Slay coming out of concussion protocol, like Mike Tomlin said. Cole Holcomb maybe finally coming out of the wilderness, that is whatever illness he has. Will be good to get him back out there on the field. Jonnu Smith, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward taking the day off yesterday. Back to today. You see on your screen right there some good news. The header for today's live stream, Aaron Rodgers back at practice. Brace on that left wrist, but he will get a chance to test it. Got the chance today. I'm sure, limited participant today, Rodgers was. I'm sure he'll at least be a limited participant tomorrow and really push to be active for this Bears game, because if there is one game on this schedule besides, playing his two former teams in the Jets and the Packers, there was one game on the schedule that he wanted to play in this season besides those two, it was this one. He wants to say, hey, daddy's home one more time, go out there, beat the team that he's owned his entire career. I believe his record 24-5 or somewhere in that ballpark in the career of Aaron Rodgers. So he's going to want to do everything in his power and make sure, even if he's, older and not 100%, go out there and stick it to his personal Baltimore Ravens, or I guess, Cleveland Browns, if you want to go, down that route, because he does own them like the Steelers own Cleveland. But yeah, Rodgers is going to do everything in his power to get out there on Sunday. Him being a limited participant today, even if he's listed as a limited participant on Friday, I am going to take that as a very positive sign that he will convince the doctors enough to go out there and play on Sunday. Other good news today at Steelers practice, the same three players who did not practice yesterday did practice today. Jaylen Warren back out there on the field. He was a limited participant with his ankle, which, with him, hey, no rush. Ankle, pretty serious thing. If you're a running back, we're going to need you, Jaylen, for the home stretch here. If we need to go in there and survive for a game with Kenny Gainwell and Caleb Johnson and Trey Sermon, then so be it. But him practicing this soon after that injury, which, the Rodgers injury, it was what it was, but watching Jaylen Warren's ankle just get twisted into the ground last Sunday, it was not a pretty sight. I thought it was going to be way more serious than to see him back out there on the field, 4 days afterwards. So kudos to him. Also, Alex Highsmith, pec injury, must not be too terrible. He back out there practicing today. Those three, Rodgers, Warren, Highsmith, as is Isaac Seumalo for a second straight day, limited participants. Cam Hayward today took a second day to rest, and full practices for Darius Slay in concussion protocol, Cole Holcomb, and another player in concussion protocol. Glad to see that maybe his concussion wasn't as serious as Darius Slay's. Keyshawn Williams, return man for the Steelers, back at practice today in full capacity. Hopefully that means he will be cleared and well out of protocol by the time Sunday rolls around. The only real negative news on the injury front for the Steelers, I mean, you look at that report there, not a DNP in sight that, is someone you're going to be like, oh, it's going to be tough without them on Sunday. Everyone at least practicing in some way, shape, or form. The only negative injury news for the Steelers in the past 24 hours, we did learn yesterday, Corey Trice Jr., nowhere to be seen in practice. His 21-day window is now up. Had a setback coming off of his, I believe, hamstring injury with a knee injury in practice. His 21-day window passed. He will remain on IR for the rest of the season. His 2025-26 season done before it even got started, and just makes you feel so terrible for the guy. I remember, a couple years ago here on the channel, we were excited. Man, Steelers really got a good one in Corey Trice Jr. They got him as damaged goods coming out of Purdue in the 7th round, and he, tested and portrays himself physically wise as another Joey Porter Jr. But man, injuries, I don't want to say yet that they have derailed his career completely, but man, his career right now, it is really, really close to riding off the rails entirely. I mean, hopefully, this knee injury, hamstring thing he's going on, hopefully it's not as serious as some things he's had in years past, and maybe the Steelers just said, hey, you really have not gotten any sort of regular playing time in the NFL because of injury. And when you try to hurry yourself back before the start of next season, you wind up hurting yourself again. So I wonder if at this point the Steelers, they look at Trice and they say, all right, listen, Corey, got some injury issues here. Why don't we take the rest of the year off? You can get your body 100% right, which I'm sure will be the first time that's happened in years. We're good right now. We got, Joey Porter Jr., he's coming along at corner. James Pierre, he's been a surprise. Brandon Eccles, you still got, I guess you can say, the carcass of Darius Slay. I know that sounds pretty mean, but the game is quickly passing him by as a corner. But also you got Asante Samuel waiting in the wings on the practice squad, waiting for his chance. So Steelers right now, their corner depth, I think, pretty good. So I'm all for this. Hopefully the injury not too serious, like I said, but him being out the rest of the year, probably looking long-term, finally really getting his NFL career off the ground. It would be very nice for Trice to focus on getting his body back to 100%. Just looking here, seeing if there's anything else Steelers news related from the past couple of days of practice. They did, throughout the week, have had tons of players on the south side for tryouts for the practice squad. They had 2 quarterbacks and I think 3 wide receivers back on Monday. Yesterday, they tried out a former Oklahoma State defensive lineman, Anthony Goodlow, 6'5", 300-pound defensive tackle, played with the Arizona Cardinals last year. Wonder what the Steelers may be thinking on that front. Don't really think they've had that many defensive linemen on the practice squad, so it might be good to get one here. I know they just signed Broderick something Martin from the Kansas City Chiefs, and I apologize for forgetting his name here, but I guess, for a D-line that, still has Cam Hayward on it, and Derek Harmon and Keanu Benton, Y.A. Black, you got the old savvy vet, and then still some kids in the infancy of their NFL careers. Will be good to get, any depth as possible, as much depth as possible on that D-line. Also, today we heard from the Steelers offensive and defensive coordinator, Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin. Just some quick notes on what they said today. Arthur Smith today sort of took a statement on Aaron Rodgers' injury. Just status quo. We're getting Mason ready in the interim. Actually cited this back to last year's quarterback situation when Russell Wilson went down and Justin Fields started the year. Then they ended up swapping again midway through the season. Smith feeling pretty comfortable if a swap would need to happen coming up on Sunday, saying it's our job to adapt. Also, speaking of swapping players in and out, spoke on Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell in their usage. It's been probably one of the bigger skepticisms of Arthur Smith this year, his personnel deployment at times, as well as his play calling. It seems like every single time you see a third down, boom, there's number 14 in the backfield, and you're wondering, all right, I would rather, have Jalen in this situation because he is just as good as Gainwell as a, catch out of the backfield guy, but he can make guys miss damn near twice as good as Gainwell. Smith said that they're both really good and that they're pretty interchangeable. Some people may disagree with that, but if we get more of the Kenneth Gainwell that we saw in the second half of that game on Sunday compared to what we've seen at other points this year, I'll agree with him there. But yeah, that's what Arthur Smith had to say today regarding his offense, preparing Mason Rudolph to start, just, similar to the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields situation from last year. And he, at least in his mind, on third down, not seeing that much of a drop off or advantage if you put in one of Jalen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell over the other. On to what Teryl Austin had to say today. Not too much from him either. The biggest question for him revolving around the cornerback room. Of course, we heard on Tuesday head coach Mike Tomlin, excuse me. Wow, where did that come from? Saying that Darius Slay, now that he is coming out of concussion protocol, he will resume as the starting corner over James Pierre and Brandon Echols, who have been outstanding recently. Austin not going against what Tomlin said, but also, giving us a little bit of more of an idea that, hey, we will see James Pierre more than what we are probably thinking. Says we'll see how it works out on the snap count between those two. He adds that James Pierre has earned his way to get more defensive snaps. I couldn't agree more. No other Steeler fan out there is going to disagree with what you said there. I still going to go back to what Tomlin said on Tuesday. I think it's always been his motto as a head coach, with very, very few exceptions, that you are not going to lose your starting job on this team due to injury. No matter how good your replacement is in the interim, when you are back out there playing, you're going to resume being the starter until your play proves otherwise. This, I think, might be an exception disguised by Tomlin saying that Slay will be the starter. He wants to protect the face of his guy, say, hey, we still have all the confidence in the world in Slay by putting him back out there as a starter. But I do think you will see Pierre outsnap him on Sunday. At least that's the way it should be. And you're probably going to need all of the corners help that you can get. You got Caleb Williams, who I think for the Bears has improved this year under Ben Johnson, and we all know he likes to have a electric offensive scheme that he brought from Detroit. And you're talking about DJ Moore and Roma Dunze and a couple other guys. I think Luther Burden as well. Some fast electric wide receivers for this Chicago Bears team. Steelers are going to need all the corner help they can get. Good contributions from both Pierre and Slay. Also, mentioning tackling or taking on those wide receivers, Austin also said that they are going to need some help from their secondary in tackling. He said that the focus from the corners and safeties in this week's practice will be to focus on the running game. The Bears, they run a perimeter heavy rushing attack, and he wants to make sure that his DBs are ready to come upfield and make a play, tackling DeAndre Swift or whoever's coming out of the backfield for the Bears. Caleb Williams, very underrated. His mobility is. So I like hearing that from Teryl Austin, getting the DBs, upfield more physical to help stop the run. That'll turn then the offense of the Bears one-dimensional, and you can attack the pass then. The only other thing I'm going to take away from that from Teryl Austin, focusing on making sure your DBs are ready to hit hard this Sunday. I mean, you're not going to need to tell Jalen Ramsey twice to come up and run through someone's face mask here, but wanting guys to come up, make some tackles. It's going to be a big week for Joey Porter then. I know he's gotten better tackling this year, but still, I want to see him have a good game where, he doesn't miss anything one-on-one. And also, for those of you out there hoping that maybe we'll see Asante Samuel sooner or later, sounds like It's going to be a physical game from the DBs, coming up near the line of scrimmage to try to make tackles. Sante Samuel, spinal injury, also wasn't really that much of a tackling corner to begin with. I doubt you see him get any sort of elevation before Sunday. Just wrapping up some of the Steelers talk, Steelers practice reports and injury update news here. Just real quick, given one injury report update on the Steelers taking on the Chicago Bears. The Bears, their injury list long, and it features some very notable names. Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, their top two middle linebackers. Roschon Johnson, one of their decent running backs. Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Darnell Wright, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard, Grady Jarrett, Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Swift. Those, for the most part, all starters for the Bears. So they are hurting pretty well right now. The only thing is that just looking at some trends here, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, back-to-back days of did not practice for them. You had Johnson, he just popped up on the report today. Darnell Wright, their starting right tackle, limited back-to-back days. Same thing for Stevenson and Gordon, two regular corners for them. Kevin Byard, one of their starting safeties. As a matter of fact, they got both starting safeties here, I believe, Brisker and Byard. Both of those gentlemen not practicing yesterday, full participants today. And Jalen Johnson, their top corner, limited yesterday, full today. Grady Jarrett, their starting defensive tackle, DMP yesterday, full participant today. So we will definitely, when we come back here and reconvene tomorrow, we will look at the Bears injury report once again, because that is a lot of names, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that they have licking some wounds coming into Sunday's game. So we will definitely come back and talk about that tomorrow. Going to stick with the Steelers here in a moment. Got a tiny story, a tiny wide receiver story, possible addition to the Steelers. I don't know what you guys think. Interested to get your feedback coming up here in a second. Before we do that, we got the comment section now finally up and going here. Let's head there right now. Flacco Concepts in here. Welcome back, everyone. Black Magic, same thing with you. Concepts with the first comment here of the day. Think they're afraid to run the wheels off of Warren like they did with Le'Veon Bell. Kenny G has also earned a good split of targets and carries. Also seems like Warren is dealing with something. You thinking something beyond the ankle? I definitely would if he is, not above 85 or 90%, similar things to what I've said with Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to put him out there, and run the wheels off of him, like you said, which honestly, you say they're afraid to run the wheels off of Warren. If giving him an average of 12 to 14 carries a game is running the wheels off of him, then I'm scared of him touching, the ball 18 times a game like what we want. But yeah, I mean, if we can get second half from the game against the Bengals, Kenneth Gainwell, bottle him up, and then open up that bottle, dump him on Soldier Field on Sunday, I will take that. Regardless of how, Warren participates in practice tomorrow, honestly, if this Bears defense is going to be shaken up and you're able to blow them off the line of scrimmage, which hopefully this offensive line will be capable of doing, then I would see what you get out of Kenny Gainwell early on in that game, save Jaylen Warren for, special occasions, special plays. If Gainwell ends up, sputtering out of the gate, then you can say, all right, now we'll see a little bit more of Jalen. If not, see how far Kenny Gainwell can take you, and then bring in Jaylen Warren as your closer if that winds up being the case. Concepts here talking about the Arthur Moats podcast said something about the starting and playing majority of snaps are two different things, talking about the secondary. Absolutely. Starting, it's only who's getting announced out of that tunnel on Sunday, and playing, getting different snaps. That's another thing as well. Starter, yeah, just on paper. So I agree. Pierre should play more snaps, 100%. Should Pierre play, a bunch of snaps at corner? I do get a tiny bit hesitant because we have seen, based off of an injury, what James Pierre in a starting role has looked like before, which he then, got beat up a good bit. If you keep him on whatever sort of snap count regiment that you got going over the past couple of games, and it doesn't get exposed yet, then I just stick with that. If it ain't broke with James Pierre, don't fix it in my book. Flacco here, not afraid of Odunze, more nervous about DJ Moore and Monongai. Yeah, that's another guy I did not bring up. What is it? Kyle Monongai, believe rookie out of Rutgers. I liked his tape coming out of Rutgers, and I thought, someone was going to steal him late in the draft. If the Steelers didn't, let's just say the Steelers didn't take Caleb Johnson round 3, and they addressed another need, maybe they got a corner, because at that time I don't think you had Darius Slay or maybe you had Darius Slay, but you definitely didn't have Jalen Ramsey yet. Or if the Steelers went wide receiver instead of Caleb Johnson, I definitely had Monongai on my board to take in the take somewhere in day 3. So I did end up with the Bears, and he's off to a good stretch over the past couple of games. So, yeah, definitely he is the one that I'm going to keep my eye on Sunday as well. Not as worried about Rome Odunze. DJ Moore, he is the big play guy there. But Steelers, they've been better at it lately, but I'm worried about Odunze. But there we go. Now we're back. I apologize. Back to DJ Moore and Roma Dunze. I'm more worried about Dunze being that underneath guy, getting lots of yak, settling into soft spots and in zone coverage than I am anything. So not going to be dismissive of him yet, but I am interested to see how they'll use him against the Steelers. Concepts here again. Warren also seems to not mind sacrificing his body, putting it all out on the line for the team. Great trait, also smart if coaches see that to protect him from himself and preserve him long term. Absolutely. If you're going to go on to the offense, if you want to go back, his whole career at this point, Jaylen Warren, that's been instilled in him from day one. Undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma State. He has needed to scratch and claw and earn through blood, sweat, and tears every single thing that he's had here in the NFL. Same thing goes back for I don't mean to compare these two in any way, shape, or form. Their production and whatnot, but just from a mindset standpoint, early on in their career, Antonio Brown, 6th round pick out of Central Michigan, nothing was given to him, and look, he turned into only. If he kept his head on straight, the greatest Steelers wide receiver in history. Some may still argue that he actually is. Jaylen Warren, same mindset. Not really looked at any sort of team in the draft. Was a priority free agent by the Steelers. Comes here to Pittsburgh, lights it up. Hard worker. Every single Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whatever day of the week the Steelers play, you've got to pick one guy on offense that you're not going to need to coax him to drag himself into the fight. It's Jaylen Warren. He will do that already enough. So yeah, I do love Warren for that, but also I agree there with the sentiment. The coaches say, hey, he's gonna lower his head and fight for every single blade of grass all day long. So he's gonna put himself at risk for the benefit of the team. Well, us as the overseers of this team got to protect him for the benefit of himself so that he can continue to help the team. Echelon here. Welcome, Echelon. We beat the Bears. Does your perspective change with the team? No, not really. Still right now, in my mind, view it as a 9-8 team that has a good shot of getting bounced in the playoffs. If they can, I'm waiting to see how these Ravens games go, and I'm going to wait and see how you do against legitimate quarterbacks and legitimate offenses like the Buffalo Bills, and I know it'll be, second to last game of the season, the Detroit Lions. I think I speak for a majority of Steelers fans. They go out there and win. I mean, yeah, we'll celebrate the win in real time, but when you look back at it in hindsight, when you're heading into these games against the Ravens and such, you're going to, people can easily look back at it like, oh, let's say Aaron Rodgers plays. Yeah, he always owns the Bears, so we'll move on and wait for a real challenge here. So that's where I view it. I wonder where you guys view it as well. Flacco, Luther Burden injured. Is he injured? I was just spouting names. I have no idea who is on IR for the Bears or not. So if Luther Burden is on IR, feel free to fill me in on that. Concepts here about my take on Jaylen Warren. Yeah, great take. I mean, just from a mindset standpoint, not from, their production on the field, how they're viewed amongst fans, nothing like that. But you want to go from the mindset to begin their careers. I do think Antonio Brown, Jaylen Warren, cut from a same cloth. That, they come in, no one thought really anything of them. Jaylen Warren, he's like, 5'10", 180. I think that was Antonio Brown. Jaylen Warren, he's probably hovering around there too. He's like, the 5'10", 5'11" range. And I still think he's one of the best pass protectors in the NFL. So, similar things is what I see there. Echelon here. AB is the greatest. Next signs. Next is Pickens. Don't care what anyone says. Talking about all time, I don't mean to, denigrate AB or Hines here, but aren't we leaving off Stallworth and Swan and those types of guys? It's very interesting. I mean, you can also, I know this guy probably below all of them, but Santonio Holmes, he might have a conversation at the table here, something like that. So if you're talking, during our lifetimes here, I mean, yeah, probably go AB and then Hines. Man, which, by the way, how do you think Hines Ward would be in today's NFL? Real ahead of his time. Wide receiver, block first, wide receiver, dog in the running game, physical like that. He would make a killing in today's NFL. I'll tell you that much. Back to Flacco here. See it as I guess we won. Talking about the Bears, if we win, I think that's how a majority of people are going to say it. It's always going to be, we'll believe it when we see it. We'll believe that this team is legit when, let's say, they decisively win a game against the Lions or the Bills, one of those teams up there at the top of the standings with you, or you go out there and you absolutely crap in the Wheaties of the Ravens, who are slowly starting to come along. They don't downright terrify me yet here, but we'll see. We'll cross these bridges when we get there. Hope Lamar goes out again. I heard that he is not 100%, hoping that he doesn't play. Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. If I'm honest, you want to talk about erasing this narrative and finally, changing your perspective on this team. I want the Ravens at 100%. I want them as close to a fully operational battle station as you can possibly get if we're going to beat them, because that's the only way things are going to change and how you're going to think differently of this team. On cue goes Flacco. See, he brings up Lynn Swan here. John Stallworth, one of my all-time favorites, hard worker who excelled at the dirty work, very consistent. Same with Hines, of course. Yep. I think all Steelers fans are really going to have a connection with those types of guys. Your Stallworths, your Hines Wards. From a mentality standpoint, we've been talking about AB and Warren. I think James Harrison, being a undrafted guy, cut 3 times, wins a Super Bowl, becomes one of the best players for the Steelers. See, people like that. People here in Pittsburgh, hardworking, blue collar, team first mentality type people. They always get special connections to those guys, and rightfully so. Hines Ward is the Puka Nacua. That's how I see it. Ooh. Okay, I can little bit see that comparison. I'm trying to think of anything else, but it's not coming to mind right now. Hines Ward was named Batman by freak Javon Curse. Yeah, And not only that, he was the star in the famous Batman movie scene where Heinz Field implodes and he's running it back. Did Heinz Ward ever really return any kicks in his career? I got to bring up his pro football reference page here, but I don't think he even did any of that in his career, which was why it was fun watching him do that in the movie. And then everyone in here getting their hate in for the Ravens, as expected. Smashed the Dirty Birds. Hope Darnell has a big game versus them too. Do you imagine if Darnell Washington did a play like what he did against the Bengals on the Ravens? He'd be infamous for the rest of his Steelers career. Just imagine he does that to Roquan Smith, and then here comes freaking Munchkin Wiggins up from the secondary. He tries something and then he runs over like a Kyle Hamilton or something for fun after the fact. That would make me jump up and down like a schoolgirl in here. I'd be fired up for that. Catches everything with a smile. That's why he was my mom's favorite player, actually. She always liked his smile, which still has to this day. Infectious. Going to keep things rolling along here, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick, the last real, topic I wanted to talk about this evening before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news. We just talked about wide receivers galore in Steelers history. What about today? Steelers wide receiver situation. Didn't add anyone at the trade deadline. They brought in MVS on the practice squad, so we don't know what to expect or, quite honestly, what we're going to get from this wide receiver room for the rest of the season. So right now, all options are on the table still, in my opinion, seeing how you clearly still don't have another wide receiver, that's a legit threat to put opposite DK Metcalf. All options are on the table, and even though we're past the trade deadline, another option came up, I believe, yesterday. Can I interest anyone in a slightly used Brandon Cooks? I think we mentioned him, passing by as one of those bottom of the barrel type targets for the Steelers at the deadline, down there with your Allen Lazards and such as a last resort. But now we're past the deadline. Steelers didn't trade for him. No one really traded for him. But still, Cooks now available, released yesterday from the Saints. I believe Ian Rappaport said that it was somewhere along the lines of both sides agreeing, and Cooks also got overtaken on the depth chart. I believe he was, the number 2 or 3 behind Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Now he's behind 2, rookies as well, who would probably be practice squatters elsewhere. So now Brandon Cooks free to sign wherever. And I just bring this up because until we know for a fact, we know DK Metcalf, he's going to be here for a while, having signed that 5-year contract. But until we know that, hey, there's a legit guy other than number 4 in that wide receiver room that is going to be on the big whiteboard of defensive coordinators around the league, then we're going to keep, just throwing things at the wall here and see what sticks in the interim. And Cooks, I guess, would be one of those guys. He's now 32 years old, 5'10", $190. And this year, for the Saints, 10 games, 19 receptions, 165 yards receiving, no touchdowns. Anybody interested? Just wanted to bring this up here today. No one? All right, good. Me too. Honestly, I'd rather see what you have in MVS at that point. So maybe we'll see him get elevated at some point. Man, wouldn't that be something? What if Rodgers behind the scenes is saying, hey, I know we got Keyshawn. He's coming out of it, but he's still in concussion protocol right now. And why don't we get MVS up here? He's one of those guys that I brought along with me, and we've tormented the Bears together. Maybe we can do it one more time. So maybe we'll see from what MVS has here soon enough. Back to the comments as everyone's getting in their views on Brandon Cooks. Slightly and used, putting it mildly. It's like going and picking the baldest tire off of a, tire heap at the junkyard and saying, yep, found my winner. my winter tires for my car for the year. But hey, at this point, screw it. It'll be hilarious. Just be even hilarious if you bring him in here and he does something good at this point. We're at hilarity levels of, searching for a wide receiver here. Any sort of idea is gonna be, taken in here, and we'll discuss it. What's up, Chad Schrader? Welcome back. Definitely bring in Brandon Cooks for sure. He's still got that speed in him. 32 years old. Wonder how much. Hopefully, it's more speed in him than what Darius Slay has. But I mean, yeah, we can joke about we're actually talking about bringing in a Brandon Cooks, but at this point, screw it. There's no sort of losing here more than what you got, so might as well give it a shot. Concepts here again, like Roman, and think he deserves more targets. Also a CA3 fan, despite his awful INT drop. Roman Wilson actually nearly doubling Calvin Austin in snaps from the Bengals game, though Wilson, he had one catch, something like that. I mean, no real wide receiver set themselves above the rest. I mean, Metcalf had a okay game by his standards, got the ball a good bit, but at least they're, mixing up the snap count for the wide receiver room, see if someone can catch lightning in the bottle here for the end of the season. No, sick of the unk gatherings. That's all we are getting at this point, honestly, just the unction. It's, guys on the wrong side of 30. If you're not on the wrong side of the 30, you ain't for the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers, let me tell you that much. Also like MVS Loki as well. I'd rather see what you have in MVS than Brandon Cooks, just slightly, because this offense, I mean, Brandon Cooks, he's 5'10", 190. He's going to be a between the numbers, catch and run maybe type guy. But this offense, it has lacked explosion this year. I'd rather see what you have in MVS first as a big body, straight line, go route, go ball type guy more than anything. See if anything else is going on here. Echelon. You guys know that this is the Steelers, right? We're not going to see MVS or Asante Samuel Jr. Tomlin's ego will allow the defense to continue to get burnt till it's too late, and then we'll see Pierre. Yeah, well, at least we're seeing Pierre a little bit before the corner room turns to crap this year. The thing is, though, that you brought up there, Asante Samuel Jr., worried about not seeing him. That is creeping into the back of my mind, because there's been, it feels like at least one corner that is somewhat of a, house brand name that gets added to the practice squad every year. 2 years ago, it was, William Jackson, former longtime Bengals corner. And then last year, wasn't it, forget his first name, Henderson, the former first-round pick from the Jags. Fans, I think, at least a little bit wanted to see, hey, these guys at least have a tiny bit of pedigree with them. Let's see what they can do on the team if they get one chance. That's what I'm worried about with Samuel. He's probably the best of the bunch that the Steelers have added to their practice squad over the past couple of years. So I definitely would like to see it. But with the way Pierre and Eccles are playing right now, it might keep him down for right now. Actually grab all the wide receivers. Somebody's got to work. We're going to take the Cleveland Browns approach to quarterback and take that philosophy to our wide receiver depth situation. Just throw everything against the wall, see if anything sticks. Though not much has been sticking at all. It's been bouncing off of the wall like it's made of rubber. Depth chart here from Tyrone Keaton, JPJ, and Slay as ones. Pierre and Eccles, or JPJ, and then Slay and Pierre rotating in, and then Eccles at 3. I think Eccles, you're still going to see him mainly as a slot with Ramsey back at safety. And then maybe when Ramsey comes out up into the box, you see Eccles pop outside a bit. Okay. Lots of you getting your comments in the comment section. Tyrone, not smart at football, to its Steelers, and Mike T, he respects Slay too. That's probably, you're talking about one of the biggest Achilles heels of late of Mike Tomlin. He is the back of the football card type guy. He will take pedigree and what you have done in this league more than what you are doing currently in this league. I think we saw that with Patrick Peterson, and we're seeing it again here with Darius Slay, though. Pat Pete, can we agree that Patrick Peterson, when he was here a couple of years ago, looked like twice as good as Darius Slay has this year? At least he was able to, keep up a tiny bit with modern era wide receiver. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment here in a second. And apparently the banner is gone, so let me type that back up here. There we go. Let's get that up there now. Don't have no idea where that banner went, but anyway, it's back on screen right now. Gonna get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day. Gonna stick with the Steelers. Talked about it early on in the week, the Jalen Ramsey, Jamar Chase spitting incident, fallout from that. Jamar Chase suspended 1 game by the NFL, filed an appeal on Tuesday, and that appeal we now know the verdict of. His appeal of his 1-game suspension denied. He will now be forced to sit out this upcoming weekend's game against the New England Patriots, which, hey, Joe Burrow might be back for the Bengals looking at their practice reports. Chase also going to forfeit $507,000 in lost wages. Over $500,000 gone for hawking a loogie at Jalen Ramsey's face. Well, at least he said that's what he would have done if he wanted to spit on Jalen Ramsey, because that was his defense. Also, you kind of knew that that Jamar Chase's appeal was going to be denied before he even thought about appealing it, because I think out of the hearing officers for his appeal, I forget what there were 3 hearing officers that I heard about. One I forget the name of. The other 2, one of them, Ramon Foster, former Steelers offensive lineman. We know how he'll feel about the Bengals. The other, the actual hearing officer that denied the appeal of Chase, a former NFL wide receiver, also former teammate of one Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson. That is who shot down the appeal of Jamar Chase. So hearing that 2 out of the 3 officers have some sort of connection to the Steelers or someone on the Steelers, you knew that the appeal, it was DOA before it even got submitted. Some other things here on the Steelers, talking about the Steelers-Bengals rivalry. Big Ben on his podcast talking about the rivalry between the Steelers and Bengals, saying it is secondary to Steelers and Ravens. He brought up the respect that he has for Ray Lewis and all the respect in the Ravens rivalry. I think we can all agree here. Well, most of us. Ravens, we hate them, but at least we respect them. The Bengals and Browns, there's not much respect there at all. They're just little brother. So I agree with Ben 100% what he said on his podcast. He sort of tied this into the Jamar Chase spinning incident, saying that that's unnecessary and it's not the same. So agree with Ben there. Sticking with wide receiver, latest mock draft from ESPN Draft Insider, Matt Miller. You guys are going to be pleased with this. The latest Steelers mock draft has the black and gold picking 19th, and they taking a wide receiver round 1, Carnell Tate, out of Ohio State. I think Carnell Tate has gotten a good bit of people on here excited, including myself. Would love that for the black and gold. Also, could you imagine? Now, I have some sort of delusional dream that this would have been another Ohio State wide receiver, that's coming out, not this upcoming year's draft in Pittsburgh, but in the 2027 draft. I had that idea for Jeremiah Smith, but I'd be okay if my dream of having Will Howard all of a sudden become the Steelers franchise quarterback, and then you bring in one of his solid receiving options from college, reunite those from Columbus to Pittsburgh. I'd be all right with that. So I love that first round projected pick. Still very, very early of Carnell Tate to the Steelers. Back to the Saints, sort of here. They released Brandon Cooks. Also, some other news for the New Orleans Saints. They are expected to play a game in Paris as early as the 2026 regular season. What does that have to do with the Steelers? Talking about the 2026 regular season. The Steelers are a road they are a road team on the schedule of the Saints in 2026. The Steelers, they will be playing New Orleans as visitors in 2026. And now that the Saints are confirmed to be going over to Paris at some point, could that be the Steelers? Could they be going overseas again? We will have to wait and find out. This Cole here, we've been speculating about it. Tons of people out there have been asking, what does this dude really weigh? We now know for sure. Darnell Washington on the Amon-Ra St. Brown podcast confirming his weight. 6'7" is the tight end's height. And after watching him bowl over Bengals like they're pins, he confirmed he is 311 pounds as a tight end. Not an offensive lineman, a tight end, 311 pounds. After watching what he did against Cincinnati, I'm all for giving Darnell Washington the ball at minimum 5 times a game and letting him run wild, because that's insane. And he's not looking, slow or like a guy with a wagon hitch to the back of him here. No, he looks like he's moving very, very well for that 311 pounds. So keep it up, big DW. The last 2 things here on the Steelers for today. Congratulations from one big guy in Washington to another. Congratulations, LC Greenwood. He being named a semifinalist yesterday for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 in the seniors category. Please, for the love of God, let's get him in. Another stalwart of the Steel Curtain era. And happy birthday today to former Pittsburgh Steelers radio color commentator and, play-by-play commentator, current Pitt football and basketball commentator, Bill Hillgrove. He's celebrating his birthday today, so happy birthday, Bill. Wrapping up the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day with a little bit of Penguins and Pirates news. The Penguins, not much on them. They will be back in action tomorrow night for the first time since their Sunday game in Sweden against the Predators. Just a couple of injury updates on the Pens. Yesterday, Tristan Jarry, Justin Brazeau, Rickard Rakell, and Nola Chari, those guys back on the ice for a workout. All of them out, have been out for a couple of weeks now. So hopefully they are starting their journey back towards getting back into the lineup. Jarry was a part of the Pens practice yesterday. Brazeau, Rakell, Achari, they did their own individual work pre-practice. As for today, none of those 4 skated in any sort of way, shape, or form. No Jack St. Ivany. He did skate again. Dan Muse said all 4 of those guys sitting out today's practice. That is just a part of their recovery process. Jarry said that it is a day-to-day situation with his lower body injury. The Pens lines in those practices and what we'll maybe see tomorrow night, they have not changed from what we saw Sunday in Sweden. Just a few other things on the Pens. Philip Tomasino, Pens forward, placed on waivers, I believe 2 days ago. Yesterday, 2 o'clock was the deadline for him to be claimed by a team. He was not, so he is through waivers, now eligible to go down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton in the AHL. Same thing for Harrison Brunick, young 19-year-old defenseman for the Penguins. Still waiting to see the Penguins make a decision on if he'll stay with the team or go back to his junior team. He is eligible to go on a conditioning loan down to the AHL. Dan Muse, Pens head coach today, talking about Brunick, saying, quote, "We have a plan for him, and we've been working through that plan. There's on ice, there's off ice, there's video. There's a lot of things, too, that have gone on behind the scenes, which might not be as evident there." So, really just saying we're continuing getting Brunick all sorts of work done, other than game action here. I hope Muse is right. I hope whatever this plan is something that is not going to stunt the growth or development of Harrison Brunick here when you've been off the ice for, pushing 2 weeks now. That might do something to your psyche and your body, waiting to get back out there, get back in the fight. So I hope whatever this plan is that they got for him, I hope it's the right thing. And the last two things for the Pens here today. Congratulations to defenseman Phil Kemp. For those of you who do not know who that is, Phil Kemp, brought in this offseason from the Pens, was in a tiny bit of a fight for a roster spot on the opening night roster for the Pens. He did not make it out of preseason, goes down to Wilkes-Barre. He today, for the first time in I think a good bit, named the captain of the baby Penguins, so congratulations to him. And talking about Harrison Brunick, Penguins' young, promising defenseman, another young, promising defenseman for the Pens, drafted in the second round this year, Peyton Kettles. He, with his new team in the junior leagues, the Kelowna Rockets, he out indefinitely with an injury, so hopefully that is not too serious. You never like it when you're young, promising prospects that you did a ton of work on and had a ton of confidence in taking them. Never want to see them get injured. So hopefully he will be able to make a quick recovery from what he has. On to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Talking about the pitching staff here for the Pirates. We'll get to that in a moment, actually. We talked about it a lot on Tuesday. Very crazy news came out from Jeff Passan, the Adam Schefter Woj from the MLB world. Passan saying the Pirates are going to be big spenders, or trying to be bigger spenders in free agency, looking at the likes of Kyle Schwarber and the two top players coming over from Japan. I take credit and I take some validity in what Passan says because he is that big of an insider, but I wanted to see more. I wanted to see if this isn't just one guy reporting one thing on the Pirates being serious buyers in free agency. Well, we got it. Today, this from Robert Murray, another MLB insider, I believe, for Fansided and also at one point for The Athletic. He was asked a question: should Pirates fans prepare for the team to be shopping in a higher-end section this offseason? Murray, three-word answer: they absolutely should. So, all right. Expectations raised a little bit more. We heard that the Pirates were willing to give upwards near $80 million for first baseman Josh Naylor before he re-signed with the Mariners. We hear that they're in on a big bat, probably one of the biggest in the free agency class, and Kyle Schwarber. If all of these are true, then you have no choice, Pirates, but to go out there and make a big move, because you cannot go out there and, tease and not give the fans what they want. I don't want to hear in a couple of months now that the Pirates spent, maybe $20 million in free agency when they were willing to give, one guy or two guys somewhere around the 80 mark. So now that we have a second MLB insider with, some credibility saying that the Pirates, that Pirates fans should have higher expectations of what the Pirates are going to do this offseason, I hope they're right. One area that the Pirates are usually every offseason expected to be active in, the trade market. Yesterday or 2 days ago, the Baltimore Orioles, they made an interesting trade with the LA Angels. The Orioles sending a former top prospect pitcher of theirs, Grayson Rodriguez, out to LA, and the Orioles in return getting outfielder Taylor Ward from the Angels. Now, Taylor Ward, that is an interesting pickup for Baltimore because the Pirates, for the better part of a year now, have been linked to Ward in trade conversations, but nothing really happened. But another thing I want to take away from that trade is not just, a guy who the Pirates were in on at one point going to Baltimore. Also, the Orioles, they now have a hole in their rotation. And the Pirates, in that Passan article, were said to be shopping the likes of Mitch Keller, maybe even a Johan Oviedo. Could Keller go to Baltimore? And, we know the Orioles, like how the Pirates, they're really good at developing pitchers. The Orioles are just as good at developing hitters for the most part. Could we see a Mitch Keller for maybe a Heston Kjerstad, or I'm probably, going above here. I mean, maybe you sprinkle in Keller and something else. You might be able to coax an Adley Rushman, solve your catching problem, or maybe you want to go infield, get your third baseman solidified. You can get a Jordan Westberg, potentially, something like that. So the Baltimore Orioles, we'll keep an eye on them and what they do as potential trade partners for the Pirates. Last thing here on the Pirates for today, Leo Piguero let go of by the Bucks a couple weeks ago. He landing on his feet elsewhere and doesn't need to travel far. He is signing a minor league deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. Maybe the Phillies will be able to give him a better, opportunity to land a spot on the big league roster than the Pirates ever did. And that'll do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, also, Paul Skeens talked about him on, I believe it was Tuesday, was on the Dan Patrick show, said that he was upset about that rumor report that he wants to go to the Yankees. He shot that down. Also said that he does expect, again, the Pirates to be more competitive this upcoming season. Hopefully, he is able to be correct in that statement. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, back to the comment section before we wrap up things here tonight. Gonna just breeze through your comments here. The comment section lighting up like crazy right now. So let me see if I can get into a couple of comments here before we log off for the night. You guys talking about Arthur Smith? I see calling out his play calling and personnel deployment. Love this here from you, Echelon. Canada jet sweep, Arthur Smith pitch equally horrible. I give the pitch from Smith a tiny bit more of a success rate, but yeah, some predictability in the running game, and would like to see him switch it up a little bit. Whatever happened to just a traditional handoff? It's always got to be a pitch now, or something like that, or run one way and toss it the other like that. Like, get back to some old school football a little bit with the running game if it's going to be struggling. Lots of talk about Arthur Smith in here, bringing up his time with the Titans. I see AJ Brown, Derrick Henry. Arthur Smith did beat Tom Brady, make the playoffs in Brady's last season. I don't even think Tom Brady wants to remember Tom Brady's last season, to be honest. Lance 33 here. What's going on, buddy? Well, shout out from Mon Valley once again. And I hope Skeen stays just so his girlfriend does too. Livy, yeah, she's a nice person. Humble brag, me and my family, we were able to run into Livy Dunn last year at a Pirates game. At least, from a brief minute and a half interaction as she was, making her way from her seats to the, interior of PNC Park. Seems like she's one of those people where what you see out there on the internet, she's a nice person in person. So no Livy Dunn or Paul Skeen slander accepted on this channel. And I agree with this, though. This is going to be the final word from Lance today. Get the ball to 80 as much as possible. I love that. I love Pat Freiermuth, and he's always good for a big game every now and again, especially against the Bengals. And Jonnu Smith, I think the Jonnu Smith experiment is pretty much over here. So, yeah, get the ball to 80 as much as possible. I agree with that, Lance, so much. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to do it here tonight. This was fun. You guys really in the second half of the show steered the ship here, and hopefully you guys are able to bring it back here tomorrow. That's going to wrap things up for tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow, another live stream just like this. We'll see what the final injury report for the Steelers and Bears are. Hopefully they'll be out by tomorrow's live stream. We'll do a little bit of Penguins pre-game talk if there's any news on them as well. And if anything comes up with the Pirates in the meantime, we'll talk about them and bring that up as well. So thank you all. Have a good rest of your Thursday night. For the final time, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Like, share, leave a comment on this live stream after the fact. If there's anything you watch this back, if there's any other thoughts that you have, get those in the comments section. I can always see those. I'll give you a like, maybe a reply. And also, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Come back a little bit later on tonight for SCSR 60. Thank you all. A good rest of your Thursday night. Back here tomorrow where we look at final injury reports and game designations ahead of Steelers-Bears on Sunday. Thank you all. A good rest of your Thursday. Peace.